All right, everyone, welcome. This is episode 74. I cannot believe it. I have my girl Malliron with me. And Malliron, we met recently through some friends, Jessica
Mhm.
Wernley, and then Kim at Liberated Roots. She owns a beautiful vintage clothing shop in South City. And so we did these like business powwows, like these little brainstorming sessions, and then we just hit it off. And so, Malloron,
Mhm.
will you introduce yourself? Tell us about you.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed those brainstorming sessions because it was a chance to we have these problems or things we're navigating in our business, and we just have, like-minded folks to talk through. So,
Mhm.
I am originally from North Carolina, born Eastern North Carolina. I got vinegar and red pepper barbecue running through my veins. And we can have a good old barbecue conversation. But I'm a proud HBCU alum. I also have my master's in nonprofit management from IU.
Okay.
I spent a couple years in New Orleans and kind of fallen in love with the city and the education nonprofit space. So that's what my background is in. And really just, being amongst the people, being able to support folks in the community. Um, and in 2018, I started Malliron Hodge Education Innovation Consulting, which I just call my consulting company. And the initial idea was I would be putting together a toolkit or supporting individuals in rural communities that had ideas that were interested in taking them to another level in the education space. So it was initially, I started because I wanted to leave the job that I had in New Orleans to move back to North Carolina, and I needed a job. And I didn't want to do, just any random job. I wanted something that I was excited about and I had been working on. So I got that contract and did that for about 9 months. And then after that, I was like, whoo, health insurance is expensive. Somebody else needs to pay for that. So I went back into like a 9 to 5 and I still did my consulting work on the side. And then fast forward to 2020, at the start of the panorama, knowing that I was just blessed to go back home and not have to worry about, being laid off or losing my job. And so I knew that there was a lot of entrepreneurs that I had met throughout the years and working in spaces. And so I wanted a way to support them. So every week I would purchase um, about 3 to 5 different products from Black women-owned businesses and post it on my personal page. And then after a couple weeks, it started to pick up, and people will start to say, "Hey, Mallory, where can I find this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but let me figure it out." And so then I would start sharing. I was like, "Okay, what is a way now that I have a captive audience to take it to another level?" And that was with the podcast. I knew nothing about podcasting, but I wanted a way to be able to share the story. So like you can see the products, but there's a story behind it. There's a story behind why they started the business and the venture, the side hustle. So I wanted to share that in hopes that if we get the stories out there, then other people will hear them, be inspired, possibly support them, and share them with other people. So that was the birth of Baddies with Business, which initially started as a podcast and now has grown into a national community. So we have the podcast arm, we have annual retreats, which this year we're rolling up to Durham, North Carolina, and for year 5. And then we also have our online baddie community. And then we have something special that is dropping in fall 2025, that I may share by the end of this episode. But if not,
Ooh.
you have to stay tuned to
Oh
find
my
out.
God. Girl. Okay. Love the breakdown. This is phenomenal. So, background in nonprofit management and education,
Mhm.
then consulting, and then you like took it into your own hands by highlighting businesses and products just like you did this morning. You texted me one of your favorite aura sprays. I was like, thank you. And now it all makes sense. And then
Yeah.
baddies with business, girl, like I love the name, first of all. It's just like it hits, it hits. But to
Thank
learn that it was a podcast first
you. Mhm.
and evolved from there is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it started with me just wanting to get the word out about really dope Black women that were doing things. And as you know, recording episodes is really hard, especially when you don't know what you're doing. So before I launched, I did the thing that I would coach people to do. So when I worked at that last nonprofit in New Orleans, I was telling you about, I did like pitch coaching, I did idea coaching, so all of this like early stage
Ooh,
things. And so I was like, what would I coach someone to do that's starting a new idea? I would tell them to talk to their customers. So I reached out to 5 Black women. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. One, do you think it's a good idea? Two, would you be interested in being on it? And if so, why? And then the third is, would you tell your friends about it? Because I always talk about the friend test.
yeah.
And if someone's willing to tell their friends, then that's big. If they're just willing to do it themselves, that means they really don't trust you. They think it's a little shady. They might not do it. But if they tell their friends, big money, you're in your bag. And all 5 of them said yes. The last person, who was Latonia Copley, shout out to her with the Journey Tea House.
Okay.
She's in Maryland. But she was like, girl, yes, I love this. When are we recording? That was a Friday. I said, girl, we record on Sunday. Knew nothing. I went to YouTube and I said, I'm not making the investment. I'm going to use my laptop and I'm just going to talk loud. So if you listen to that first episode, it's real scrappy. Okay. I did not make any investments into anything because I wanted to make sure that people liked it and people wanted it. And when people said, yes, we want it, I invested in a mic and I invested in headphones and I did all these things. And this was before like they have, like Riverside and the really great platforms that do all the editing. This was before that. This was
Mhm.
like when they had um, platforms that you had to do all of your editing before that. And if you don't have an editing background, my first episode, it took me 4 hours to edit. It was 30 minutes.
I
Four
know. Crazy. Yeah.
hours. But yeah, so just wanting to tell the stories and tell them in a way that's authentic. So, we have had some homegirl lunches, and you know how our lunches is like it starts here, it goes over here, but it's gonna come back here, and then you're gonna walk away on a high. Not a high because like you had or took or smoked something, but on a high because we just had this it's just like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that human design,
Ah,
is another layer.
another layer. Girl. Yeah, I'm here for the evolution and the expansion,
Mhm.
period. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to hang out with anybody if you're not on this growth expansion train. So,
Yeah.
when you talked about the friend test, I feel that deeply, girl. I feel the
Hmm.
friend test. Yeah, like, are you willing to share with your folks and why or why not?
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't really aligned.
Hmm. And I think I like your why or why not because, well, let me just say this. All your friends, they're not going to always be your customers. And they shouldn't be because they can be supporters, but that doesn't mean that they're not a good friend because they're not your customer. They're not your customer.
Yes.
And so that is something I'm always telling people. It's like, oh, well, my friends and my family didn't do ABC 1, 2, 3. Well, I got cousins that just learned what Baddies with Business is like this year. And Baddies with Business has been in existence for almost 5 years. Am I mad at them? No. But am I happy that they're finally on board and getting with it? Yes. And
Yes.
I'm okay with it. And so I think you just have to realize that people are put in your life for a reason, and you have to figure out like what the reason and what the box is. I'm not saying you put people in boxes, but it's like do that audit of like who are the people in your circle, who are those people that are like, okay, I know if I go to my girl and we're gonna be boo 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 boo. And there's not just gonna be idea, idea, idea. We're actually gonna walk away with like some actionable next steps and like a voice memo. It's like, yes, queen, what you said, I did ABC 1, 2, 3. Where you might have other friends where it's just visioning and it doesn't take you to those actionable next steps. And so you got to figure out who are the people you need and who's there already. Because I promise you they're there.
They're there. Yeah, we're so abundant. That's another scarcity
Hmm.
mindset, thinking that you got to be out here like reaching, searching hella far. Like, nah,
Yeah.
just honor who people are, respect
Yes.
who they are, think about where are you in your process and what do I need right now? Who do I need to support me now? Do I need an action person, a
Right.
strategy person? Do I need a creative, fun person? Like,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you got it if you pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. It's all about, I was talking to someone yesterday. So have you heard the term of like social capital?
Yes.
Okay, so this friend I was talking to hadn't heard of social capital, and she's doing some really dope work that's around like youth, kind of Shout out to Gianna, Maximizing Your Now. She's in Richmond. And so she was talking about how the power is in youth and also parents and guardians really understanding like what they have, to your point, the abundance, and then how they can tap that to take it to another level. So it's not coming from a deficit of like, oh, you don't have this, you poor person,
Yeah.
which that is not me saying it, but that's how some people look at it in a very savior mindset. Is like, oh, I got to go help these people. I got to go save them. As opposed to thinking about like, what is their social capital? Okay, this person, this child may dream of being a baker and they learn from their grandma. They may not have the resources to go to culinary school, all these things, but they know 3 blocks away there's the candy lady, or there's this person that has been baking for a while. They may not have that degree, but that could be where they can go and shadow someone, get some experience, and then think about like what that might look like if they decide to go into school or to culinary school. But I think it's like we have to realize that, again, people are put in our life for a reason. And the people that we don't yet have in our life, like how can you get closer to them? And in a way that's like mutually beneficial and not transactional. Now, some people want to be transactional. That's not me. Don't come over here. Don't bring that energy over here. Okay. Just bring that energy. But I'm always like, how can it be mutually beneficial? And it may not be something that's like mutually beneficial in this moment. It may be over time, and that's okay for me.
Yes. Yeah. For me, right? A lot of people
Mhm.
are not willing to wait or
Yeah.
allow the relationship to grow and to have these smaller moments where you're building trust with one another.
Yeah.
It takes time. It really
It
takes time, you
it
know?
takes time.
Yeah, not everyone is hella bold and like out there
Hmm.
immediately, and that's okay. Like, it's all
Yeah.
good. It's all good.
And you bring up a great point about like it taking time, because I even think about us,
Yeah,
where we started doing our sessions. That was like August, July.
yeah,
It was like last summer, I feel like it was.
yeah,
And over that time, I always was like, I like her. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I like her. And it wasn't until it just so happened that no one else could make it, and it was the two of us. And I was like, "Yo, you trying to meet up? Because I already got this time on my calendar, so let's use it." And you were like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." And so I think the fact that we still, and that took time for us learning about each other in the distance, seeing each other at events, be like, "Hey, girl, hey," and then having this moment of like, "Okay, now." It took time, but now we can put our fingers on like why we were connected. Um,
yes,
hmm.
yes, yeah, and to be open to those spontaneous moments.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
changes, but you can just roll with the punches and be like,
Roll
well,
with
who's
it.
down to ride?
Hmm.
Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. How
Mm.
you do anything is how you do everything. That's one of my favorite quotes. So if you're like, I don't know, resisting or like mad at people or whatever because nobody can make the meeting, but you're like, hey, she's free, she's hungry, she just left the gym, I just left the gym. Like, we
Yeah.
gotta eat. Why
We
would we
gotta eat.
not? Why would we not?
Right. Hmm. And we could have been like, well, we gotta shower, we gotta do this thing, which I think we both like did that, but still it was in that moment of like, let's connect.
Yeah,
Let's build this relationship. And I think oftentimes people lose that part of whether it's like as an entrepreneur, you want to connect with someone, you want a partner, you want them to sponsor you, you want them to throw some money and invest. But
right.
there takes some time to build trust. And oftentimes people want to jump from I don't know you to give me some money, or I don't know you to do this program, as opposed to I don't know you, let me get to know you. Let
Yeah,
me understand what you need and how I might support and what I need and how you might support. And we'll see if something blossoms from there, but maybe not.
yeah,
Maybe it was meant for me to meet you to connect you to someone else.
yes.
Um, but I think, yeah, that time to like build trust and build connection, people often want to rush that because we are in a very, not to sound like my mama, we are in a very like quick, everything is instant.
Yeah.
But I do think there is this magic, and this like healing that comes from being still and being in community. Whether that community needs to be on like virtual or it needs to be in person. But I think like having that stillness and just like we're looking corny to corny. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes. And I think that's something the OGs and the elders really understand, that
Mm-hmm.
particularly in business, but really in life, you need to invest in the relationships and
Yeah.
the coffee dates, the free meetups. Like you might not be getting paid necessarily, but you're like investing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that truth is going to open so many doors. That trust is going to open so many doors. And then also just like the expansion that we were talking about. Like, do you want your mind to be blown? Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't you want these moments of awe and wonder and like, oh my
Yeah.
God, light bulb, light bulb? Like, don't you want that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in those moments, it's like in the stillness, how do you also create time to listen and to not be so quick to like, oh, well, I've tried this and I tried this. Because if I think about like our lunch, it was, oh, here's the thing I'm wrestling with. And then at the moment, you're like, okay, what do you think? And I'm like, okay, boo, 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 boo. And we're like, oh, that's good. And then we kind of built from there. And
Yes.
so I think one, naming what you need from someone in that moment, because you can't assume that that person knows what you want. And so just naming, hey, in this moment, I just need you to just be like a sponge and soak it all up. I don't need you to squeeze it out and give me feedback yet. I just need you to be a sponge. And when I'm ready to process it, then squeeze away.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Be very direct and intentional, naming what you need.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good, girl. And sometimes you're in a place of like limbo and kind of
Hmm.
confusion. Like, even with the girls, a lot of us were like, okay, well, I don't really want to do that anymore. I'm
Yeah.
feeling some momentum over here. How do you see me? And I remember asking you that, girl. Your Baddies business with Baddies Instagram is like amazing. I love going on there, but you had a quiz or a test or something, and it was like a Canva slide, a carousel, and it was like, who do you see yourself as? The
Mm.
CEO, the
Yep.
healer, and like a couple of other ones. And I asked you, I was like, Malliron, what do you think? Based on
Mm.
our interactions, you were like, you're the healer, Anna. And
Yes.
I was like, ah, thank you. And it was just like
Hmm.
a relief, because sometimes you need these mirrors, these safe spaces to be like, Anna,
Yeah.
these are the gifts. Like,
Hmm.
stay here.
Yep. Stay right here. Stay 10 toes down. Okay. You had one toe in, just put the rest of them in. Okay. Just put the rest of them. And to your point, sometimes your crew sees things before you see it.
Ooh,
And they can already like, not that they have written the vision for you, but they can see that like what it could be early on. So
yeah.
I even think about like year one of Baddies of Business. This wasn't even year one. This is like in a couple of months. And I had a friend of mine, she was like, "Mal, I really think this is gonna like blow up." And I was like, okay, girl, whatever. Let's just help these black women and help and like get their stories out there. Not like they needed my help because they out here popping anyway. But I'm like, let's do this thing. And then I was like, you know what? She was right. Like a couple years later, and blow up in the way that like is exciting for me and not like, oh, I'm out here being Rachel Rodgers, no shade to her because I love Rachel Rodgers. Hey,
Right, right.
or like Oprah, I ain't Rachel or Oprah. I'm Malloron, okay? And so my blow up could be, oh, our first event, our first retreat, we had the goal was 20 attendees. And I think we did have about 24. And this year, the stretch goal was 75. Like stretchy, stretchy. It's almost like too much. And the goal that I wanted to hit, which I say it every year, and I usually like get right there on it and surpass it, is 50. And we are currently at 38 people registered. So we right there, and it's a couple like people haven't hit the purchase, but like it's right there. And
Yes.
so I tell that to say year one, this friend already saw this version of Baddies of Business and me, but I did not see it yet until I sat with it and one celebrated those really small victories. So people listening to the episode, because I just thought it was gonna be me and my mama.
Yeah.
Um, and then two, like people being excited to be on the podcast and be in the community and attend the retreats. And there have literally been baddies that have traveled around the country with Baddies of Business. So we had two in North Carolina, Durham, Charlotte. Then we came to St. Louis. Then we went to New Orleans, and now we're going back to Durham. And they literally have been like, "Yeah, where we going?
Yeah.
Put on the seatbelt, okay? We going."
Down. They're like,
Mhm.
I know that this is enlightening. I know this is important. I know that this is hella reciprocal. Like we talked
Yes.
about, this is a move. And you get
Mhm.
to travel. Like,
Yeah.
hey, can we have it all? I say yes.
Yes, please.
Oh, girl, I'm so excited for you. This journey is brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, the online space, because we need to be flexible. Folks are
Hmm.
busy. Like, let's just hop on a video. And then the actual immersions where we're live, we're in a
Yeah.
location. I like how you share the hotel and like, I don't know, just the artwork and just the vibe, the setting, the ambiance.
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is good.
Yes.
And then the education that you're offering people, just like you said in the beginning, like, okay, I'm purchasing products and I'm highlighting the products, but there's more. There's storytelling, there's
Hmm.
the person, there's like the mission and the vision behind it. And then helping people, like you said, with pitching, like let's do some market research. Let's
Hmm.
experiment. Let's test the waters. Like you've
Yeah.
always been hella good at that. It might be the Virgo girl, but you've always been like, let's try it. And then
Yeah.
we're going to get some feedback, some data, and then we're going to like revisit.
Hmm. I'm always like advocating for a little small test to try it out. So I posted this, I put it on LinkedIn a couple days ago because I was like, hey, if you don't know, one, I start planning the retreats a year in advance, sometimes a year and a half in advance. And that is just so people know, like, hey, when you're planning this, it doesn't have to take you a year, but I am very intentional about the date has to be chosen, the location has to be chosen, and then building up from there. So making sure that the baddies have 9 months to prep.
Yeah.
And if they want to do, different payment plan options, they can do that. Early bird specials, getting the speakers locked in, all of that. And
Yes.
so then my test for this year, and I'm happy to share like the test that I've done like the last 4 years, but the test for this year is instead of just having four speakers that I choose, I would love to have multiple speakers that apply. And so we opened
Yes.
up speaker applications in August of last year. I think it was July or August.
Yes.
And the goal was for people to essentially submit a proposal. And so it was less of like, oh, I need to apply to fit in. No, it was like, submit your proposal. You got 60 minutes. And what this will not be is a sit and get. And I reiterate that several times. This should not be sit and get. And this should not just be you out here saying, like, hey, you want more access? Scan this QR code and sign up, and it's $1,500. Now, if you want to do, a coaching call and all that, that's fine. But in this session, they need to have something that they can walk away with. And the walk away with shouldn't be, oh, you now walk away with the QR code to now. It is, here's 5 steps. If you want to get the other five, then you can participate in this. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had 30, yeah, we had 30 people submit proposals. And we went down to now we have 23, and it'll be 21 sessions. And
Okay.
the youngest session is going to be led by two sisters. Shout out to Allison and Ava, and they are 8 and 12. Now Ava, I might be getting your age wrong, so hopefully you don't hear this girl. But
Oh
but
my God.
they've been working with their mom on this craft resin business. So they create like little keychains, little desk things, but it's all made out of resin. And so they've been doing this, I think for it may be like year two now that they have been working on this business. And so they're going to talk about like what it's like to be an entrepreneur, to juggle school, and also have their mom that's like, hey, you want to do this? Let's figure it out. Let's go to YouTube. Let's figure the things out, all of that. And so I'm excited for them to be there. One, to just share their journey. So there are some sessions where it's like, it's more of Q&A and
Mhm.
conversation, and you get to see some of the things they worked on. And then we'll also have sessions like Carla. with Viola's Heritage, which they're going to be doing bread. So not the whole bread making process, but she's connecting like the resiliency of entrepreneurs and how it connects to bread. So Carla's in New Orleans, and she's a bread maker. She's a trained pastry chef. She makes some of the best bread I have ever had in my life. And so she's just tying that in with like her passion of making bread and educating folks to resiliency and entrepreneurship and how to continue going. And then we'll also have like a session by Brielle and Lacey with the farmer's bag that's focused on like funding. So how to make sure that your grants are top notch and you're answering the questions as you should, or in a way that's authentic to you. So we have like a plethora of different options. And so I named that on LinkedIn and I was like, yeah, this year's test was to see if we can get one, people that are interested in submitting proposals, and then two, get people lined up. And we did that. And
Damn.
so the test is like, yes, that part of the test, it worked. And now it is a test to see like, what would this look like when we get to May? So people are
Yes.
not opting in them. They will see all the options, but they're going to use their feet. So they're going to walk into the session. If they're getting the thing they need, they're going to stay. If they're not getting it, I'm going to tell them to do
Yep.
and go to the next session.
Mhm.
And they'll be concurrent on that Saturday, but I'm excited to see what this looks like because it may work really well. It may be little things we need to tweak in thinking about year six, but that is what I'm always thinking about. Is like, what is one small test? So
Yeah.
this year's test is we have speakers and we're gonna let people kind of flow and use, vote with their feet. Not voting, but like use their feet to kind of decide on the things that they want. Um,
Oh,
so yeah,
geez.
so that's like an example of kind of like one of those small tests that we talked about.
That's beautiful, girl. I love that. And it's kind of like originally a lot of the work is with your parents or in your household. It's with the
Hmm.
kids. Like you're just figuring it out. And then maybe you go to
Yeah.
the neighborhood
Yeah.
and then you might go on YouTube. You're going to just like
Hmm.
use all the tools at your disposal. But then once you're solid and like you've got some skin in the game, like, hey, let's open it up. Let's see what
Hmm.
the universe wants, and like look at all these classes that you were able to like funnel in, and like all these new connections, like
Hmm.
beautiful. And it takes time for that. Like if you opened it up immediately, you might have been hella confused, and like
Yes.
your path would have been like all over the place. But you're like, no, let me do this. Okay, boom boom boom
Yep.
boom boom. Okay, now we're here. All right, I can open up a little bit. All right, cool.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it took, to your point, it took 5 years to get to that. So the first year, that test it was not even 24 hours that we had the retreat and bazaar. So we came together on a Friday evening at like 5 o'clock, had a panel. We did yoga that Saturday morning. We had some additional sessions. We had lunch, box lunch, and then we told everybody to get out and we flipped the space. And then that's when we had the bazaar. So it was literally maybe
Ah.
24 hours. And then I asked the baddies, I was like, hey, what did you like? What do you want to see improved? And they were like, oh, we want to see the city more. And we also wanted to be longer. And I was like, say less. So then we expanded and went all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then moved the bazaar to Sunday. So then again, I asked them, I was like, oh, what do y'all want next? Where y'all want to go? I think we're going to roll to St. Louis. And they was like, okay, cool. Then in St. Louis, the theme was Black women thriving, investing in yourself to take your business from surviving to thriving. And I was like, well, oftentimes we say, oh, you need to thrive, you need to thrive, but we don't see examples of thriving. And so we had examples of thriving across St. Louis and how that you could pour into yourself. So it was yoga, and then we did the museum, the Black History Museum, and then we went to Kim's at the end, and then we
Oh.
kind of brought it back together. It's like, okay, looking at all of these examples, how might we take this back into our business? Um, and then the next year they was like, okay, we want to go to New Orleans. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Then we went down to New Orleans, and the test there was the community bazaar was going to be outside. And it was
Ah.
also another test that we were doing during French Quarter Fest, which is like one of the bigger festivals in New Orleans. And yeah, it's just like every time I'll ask them, how was it? What would you change? What would you improve? And people are
Yeah.
like, this is great. And then sometimes people don't know what they don't know. So they're like, oh, I don't know. I feel like I didn't have any expectations, so it already exceeded them. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But and what I try to do is like kind of forecast. Know all of the baddies who are in attendance. So I spend a lot of time with the registration, knowing the face with the name, following them on social media. So then when they walk in, I'm like, oh, hey, it's so good to meet you. I saw that you did some really great things with your business. And then it makes them feel really good, like, oh, this person whose face I see actually knows my name, as opposed to not just, hey, girl. It's like, yeah, I do, hey, girl. And also, hey, girl, congratulations. Or let's celebrate your business in this moment.
Yes.
So that's something I always strive to do is like, I never want it to get so big that I don't know every person's name, every person's business, and every like
Yeah.
area that they want to grow across the next year or two.
Yeah, that's what makes a real community, right?
Hmm.
We need to know things about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Girl. Oh, this is so good. I always love talking to you, girl. This is fire. Um, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait. This is going to be
Thank
brilliant in
you.
May. I can't wait to see all the footage and everything. And yeah, to continue our powwows with the girls.
Yeah, it's gonna be
That's
good.
going to be it's going to be great. Okay, girls. So now as we're heading towards the end,
Hmm.
do you have any final thoughts? Is there anything on your mind that you want people to know?
Mm, final thoughts. I'll leave you with three.
Okay.
The first one is my old boss used to say, just ship it. Just put it out there. So don't overthink it, which is easier said than done, but just put it out there. Even if you put it out there for a small few, but just put the idea out there. The second one is the idea will never be perfect.
Mm,
It will never be perfect. And then the third one is to be obsessed with the problem and not the solution.
mm.
Meaning, you want to find a way to address the problem and not be so connected to, like, oh, the solution I created is the best one.
Yeah. Ooh, those are heavy hitters, girl. Just ship it, put it out there. The idea will never be perfect. That will
Hmm.
paralyze you, okay?
Yeah.
And be obsessed with the problem. Yeah, and like digging deeper, asking for feedback, being open
Hmm.
to feedback, talking to your people.
Yeah.
That's good, girl. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Malliron. Okay, wonderful. So now tell us how folks can reach you. How can we keep up with you?
Yes, if you want to keep up with me, baddiesofbusiness@gmail.com. Boom. Send the email, I will answer. So some people are like, oh, I didn't know this was you. It's me. When you get that email back, it's Malliron. Second, you can follow Baddies of Business on social media. So we're on Instagram, Baddies of Business. We're on Facebook, Baddies of Business. And we're on LinkedIn, Baddies of Business. And
Beautiful.
if you want to connect with me, I'll answer all of those. But then also, you can reach out to me, Malliron Hodge on LinkedIn, Malliron, Hodge like Dodge, take off the D, add the H, um, on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yes. And for those who are still looking for maybe some personal and professional development, the retreat is in May, correct?
Yes, the
We have time,
retreat is in May. The tickets do close on March 9th.
March 9th. Okay.
And if people if we need to, we may have some wiggle room to open about 10 more tickets.
Okay,
Okay.
girl. We're going to publish this before then and share it
Okay.
with everybody. Okay, girl?
So March 9th, get your tickets in. Right now, we only have tickets available for retreat only and retreat and bazaar, no hotel. So our community bazaar is like a market. Every retreat attendee has the option to vend at the bazaar if they choose to. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. You can just attend and just be in community. But it's going to be a fire weekend. Our theme is homecoming, honoring where we've been to celebrate where we're going.
Homecoming. I love the themes. That's beautiful,
Thank
girl. Yay. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was brilliant. I'm lit up. So thank you so much, Malliron. I so appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to people who are out there. You're amazing.
Amazing. Yay. All right. We'll see you next time. If you're looking for the most ethical, powerful, and magical fucking aromatherapy on the planet, so you can be a better bitch and just like totally fucking taken care of, I got the shit for you. I created this skincare line as an extension of my high school senior project. All natural aromatherapy experience, because that's what we did back in the day. On our priestess, bad bitch, queen shit, we used oils, the purest fucking oils that not only penetrated your skin, it anointed you. Waking up first thing in the morning, clearing yourself between meetings, before you pick up your kids, that's the kind of shit I'm on. Almost like if you were saging, but you don't need a lighter. So let me introduce you guys. These make beautiful gifts. A holiday gift, for a Valentine's gift, or a galentine for your clients. A sister circle, somebody's birthday coming up. I also have an affiliate program. So if you want to sign up and you want to be a brand ambassador for Align with Anna, you get paid. To learn more about that, please go to alignwithanna.com/get paid, and let's grow together. You can also shop wholesale, Etsy, and Shopify. As a mom, as someone who really values her self-care and her routine, I use all of these daily, and it's gonna come in a sweet little box. I will put some beautiful tissue in there. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Shop today.